Hey, Rainbow here, and how are you? I'm gonna look today at a Kawasaki Vulcan S. Little different for me. Let's see, how did I get a hold of this bike? Well, first of all, it's not mine. It's my neighbor's. She rarely rides it. Young girl, rarely rides it. Been leaving it outside with a cover on it lately, and in South Florida, that just doesn't cut it. So me still having my Ducati Multistrada in the shop because it was, I was hit again by someone, and it's getting repaired. It's already been over a month, and I'm really feeling it. So I test drive a lot of bikes, but I cut a deal with her. I said, listen, let me clean up your chain, adjust it, lubricate it, and go over your tire pressure, look at your oil, and everything else, and well, then I can ride it every now and then. So that's what's been happening. I actually took this one to work today, and people were like, what is that? Did you get a new bike? I'm like, no. But after riding this thing for 2 days, I kind of have an opinion on it. So let's go over some of the specs on this Kawasaki Vulcan S. First of all, it is a two-stroke, two-cylinder DOHC cooled, liquid cooled to be. It's about 650 cc's, let's call it 649, and it has a 10:8:1 compression ratio. Now, I do have to tell you that this bike was based off of the Ninja 600, all right? So they wanted the sportiness of the Ninja 600, but in doing so, they needed to kind of stretch it out to give it a bit of a sporty cruiser type of look, all right? Electronic ignition, no big surprise. 6-speed with the positive and neutral finder. And what I found out with the positive and neutral finder is when you're in neutral and you just want to upshift to second gear from a complete stop, it's almost impossible. You actually have to ride it into second gear and leave it there. Now you're going, why the hell would I want to upshift to second gear from a dead stop? Well, to slowly let out the throttle to see how many gears I can go through before this bike won't stall out. And it also is a good practice to kind of slowly let the clutch out and get you some forward momentum. So that's the purpose of me doing that. And it actually comes in handy. It's really good practice for help you with your friction zone. Now, it is a chain drive, and the maximum torque on this, when you're ready, here's a big one, 46.3 foot-pounds, and that's at 6,600 RPM. Now, I'm going to tell you that this thing likes to be in the upper rev range, for sure. I will tell you that the low-end torque in the 3,000, 4,000, even 5,000 range is lackluster at best. But again, it is a 650. But we'll get into that a little bit more. Has 41 millimeter forks on the front, and it has a lay-down offset rear shock with linkage and adjustable preload of about 3.2 inches, which isn't too bad. Now the front tire is an 18-inch tire, which kind of surprised me, and that's a 120/70. The rear tire is a 17, more standard, but that's a 160/60, so it's not a super big tire. I was kind of surprised on the 18-inch front wheel, but you know, it's going for that cruiser look. Front brakes, it's just a single 300 millimeter disc with but it is a two-piston caliper, and on the rear they have a single 250 millimeter disc with a single piston caliper. Now, it is a high tensile strength steel, what they call it, their diamond frame, and the rake and trail on this is 31 and 4.7 inches. The overall length is just a little over, it's just under 8 feet. It's 90.9 inches. And the overall width is around 34.6 inches. The overall height's about 43.3 inches, and has a ground clearance of 5.1, which actually isn't too bad compared to, for instance, my Indian Scout Bobber, for example, which I couldn't even fit a tray underneath it to drain the oil. I have to jack the bike up just to change the oil. Seat height's about 27.8 inches, so it's very low seat height, so just about anybody can get on this, no matter what height you are. Very easy to ride bike. Has a curb weight now of about 500 pounds, technically 496.1 pounds, and the wheelbase of 62 inches. So it's stretched out a little bit, even though this is based off of the Ninja, and it does have that diamond frame. All right. This comes with a 12-month limited warranty, of course, and you can buy different protection plans with Kawasaki. Now, here's the thing with this bike. It doesn't cost a lot of money, all right? The 2022 version, you're looking at about $74.49, just $7,500 for this bike. So it's a great entry-level bike. I think this is a fantastic entry-level bike because it's very smooth. It's pretty quiet too. It's a big catalytic converter underneath this thing. And because it doesn't have a ton of low-end torque and it's smooth, it kind of keeps you from getting into trouble. Now you get into the higher rev range here and this thing starts to pull because it is based off of the Ninja, and they will clearly tell you this is based off of the Ninja. Now, front forks have no adjustment. The rear shock, like we said earlier, it just has preload only. But it's a relatively comfortable bike. We'll talk about how it rides in a second. Okay, so here's my take on this bike. I don't even have footage for riding it because most of the time I'm riding it at night and I don't have a lot of time after work. It gets dark pretty quick. But honestly, you're not missing anything. I think it's more about what we want to talk about. I'll throw some maybe stock footage if I can find in here. But the bike is surprisingly extremely flickable, extremely nimble. I mean, to a surprising degree. That's one of the things that I like about it. But also, when you feel like you're on a cruiser, in that cruiser position, when you have the forward foot controls, it's almost too flickable. It's relatively lightweight. Like we said, it's just under 500 pounds for I guess we have to call this a middleweight cruiser, I suppose. Lightweight cruiser, middleweight. Now, Honda has that 300, so I guess this is a middleweight cruiser. But really not by today's standards. God, this is, you tell me, what do you think? Is this, what do you consider this? I don't even know. But it's sporty. So in upper rev range, it has some torque and it has some get up and go, not giving me any horsepower on this thing. Now, the riding position is extremely adjustable. Now, if you buy them brand new, they give you a different seat, different controls, and they can adjust this. The shifter, I had to adjust it for my neighbor because it was just way too high for me and it was way too high for her. She was actually getting like shin splints trying to lift her leg up. So we brought it down, but the position of the shifter it's not really very ergonomic. Although it's that cruiser type of look where you have forward controls and you're reaching forward, you're not reaching forward too bad, but I will tell you that just taking this to work this morning for maybe a 20-minute ride, my back was starting to feel it already. The suspension isn't actually too bad. It's certainly a little soft in the front. You don't have a ton of travel, but it works. The rear held the bumps pretty good. I have to tell you that. What I didn't really care for with this bike was the stability. Although it's very flickable, it's almost like it's too flickable and it's too nimble to the point where when you have these wide grips that it takes very little input, and I think that's going to take some getting used to. So with a bike that's this flickable, if maybe you're more accustomed to being on a sport bike where you have that position and you have to move a little bit to get that movement and you're more tucked in. This one you're kind of out and you have that flickability. So I'm going to use the word stability. I just don't like the stability on this bike because it's too flickable for the width. And you could say to yourself, no bike is too flickable. I found one that I actually kind of think is. I really do, because it doesn't give you a lot of confidence or make you really comfortable. Now, these pegs are super easy to drag and scrape your pegs. The pegs here, they have big hunks of metal sticking down so that it warns you before you hit hard parts. It is not hard at all to scrape pegs on this bike. So don't expect on being too aggressive in corners if you're into taking this bike into canyons. So if you're looking at at it from that standpoint, this isn't the bike for you if you want to take it to the canyons, because you're not going to get a whole ton of lean angle out of this bike. It has a little bit of clearance. I think you can get down pretty decent on this bike, but the last thing you want to do is to start scraping hard parts on a bike like this. So I guess what I'm trying to say is they wanted to make this sporty and base it off of the Ninja 600, but yet still be a cruiser. And I think we have to put this more towards the cruiser camp, because all the sportiness of it, you kind of lose when you start scraping pegs really easy. And to me, when you start scraping pegs, that's the warning to me, hey, don't go any further. Even on the Indian Scout Bobber, I would scrape the pegs for a couple seconds into a turn, but I knew where I was and I had my feel with the bike and I felt comfortable. It'd be the same thing with this. So for an entry-level bike that's extremely inexpensive, I think it's a great bike. I don't think it gives you a lot of confidence, like I said before, because those wide handlebars here, just, Plus, for that price point, you can't expect a ton. Kawasaki did a great job with this bike. I think the styling looks really good. This color is actually kick-ass. I really like this color, especially as a Marine Corps veteran. You have to like this. And it's liquid cooled, so you get a lot of bike for your money. So that's why I give this thing like an A. You know, I think that this is a really good bike. Oh, and this has ABS on it, so we have a little bit more comfort as far as that's concerned. If it's your bike and you love it, great. I think it's fantastic for the price point. And if you're just looking to get started, this is a great bike to learn on because of that. The torque's on, you have to get up into the 6,600 RPM range to get a decent amount of torque, and that's where it maxes out. But I think this is overall a great bike. I mean, don't expect a whole lot. It's, obviously not the best components for everything because of the price point, but Kawasaki did a great job. Anyway, hope you like this video. This is Rimbo. Like and subscribe. And if you're looking to pick up a bike for the first time, I don't think you can go wrong, especially for a price point. For a bike that's brand new, under $8,000, that has the get up and go that this thing does, except on the low end, but it is extremely smooth. Anyway, Rimbo, have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.